Welcome back to Suitability Saturday. This week, Daryl and Sean wanted to discuss the diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. There is a lot of confusion amongst candidates for parole about the diagnosis, and it's a diagnosis that 99% of forensic psychologists make when evaluating a candidate for parole. Because of the confusion, I'll just recite the definition from Wikipedia before we get to the discussion with my co-hosts. So from Wikipedia, under signs and symptoms, it states, antisocial personality disorder is defined by a pervasive and persistent disregard for morals, social norms, and the rights and feelings of others. Although behaviors vary in degree, individuals with this personality disorder will typically have limited compunction in exploiting others in harmful ways for their own gain or pleasure, and frequently manipulate and deceive other people. While some do so through a facade of superficial charm, others do so through intimidation and violence. They may display arrogance, think lowly and negatively of others, and lack remorse for their harmful actions and have a callous attitude toward those they have harmed. Irresponsibility is a core characteristic of this disorder. Most have significant difficulties in maintaining stable employment as well as fulfilling their social and financial obligations. And people with this disorder often lead exploitative, unlawful, or parasitic lifestyles. Those with antisocial personality disorder are often impulsive and reckless, failing to consider or disregarding the consequences of their actions. They may repeatedly disregard and jeopardize their own safety and the safety of others, which can place both themselves and other people in danger. They are often aggressive and hostile with poorly regulated tempers, and can lash out violently with provocation or frustration. Individuals are prone to substance use disorders and addiction, and the non-medical use of various psychoactive substances is common in this population. These behaviors can, in some instances, lead such individuals into frequent conflict with the law, and many people with antisocial personality disorder have extensive histories of antisocial behavior and criminal infractions stemming back to adolescence and childhood. Moderate to serious problems with interpersonal relationships are often seen in those with this disorder. People with antisocial personality disorder usually form poor or reduced attachments and emotional bonds, and interpersonal relationships often revolve around the exploitation and abuse of others. They may have difficulties in sustaining and maintaining relationships, and some difficulty entering them. Let's get into the discussion. Good morning, Daryl and Sean. Happy New Year to you both.
Happy New Year to you, Elizabeth and Sean.
Happy New Year's to you, Elizabeth and Daryl.
We have a great conversation today about antisocial personality disorder. And we had previously been speaking about basically what is it and what was your attitude about it when you first learned about this diagnosis. So we'll just start where we started before with Daryl and head on over to Sean.
Antisocial personality. We chose this topic because it was something that was very pressing on me during my incarceration of 30 plus years. And every time I seen psych for a psychological evaluation, every time I went to the board, every time I went to a classification committee, they always talked about antisocial personality disorder. And I didn't understand it because I believe that I come from a gang background. I come from a strong family. We're very social with each other. We spend a lot of time with each other. We laugh, we joke, we have fun. How could that be antisocial? I had to dig a little deeper. And when I realized that having antisocial personality that's not addressed would prevent me from getting out of prison, I had a talk with a psychiatrist or a psych tech, not sure which one it was. And that woman, who I appreciate tremendously, helped me understand that antisocial personality is not the fact that you don't like people, it means that you are in opposition to what's termed societal norms. And in order to be set free, you have to have a prosocial mindset, which means that you have to adjust and adapt your mindsets and your beliefs in line with what society believes is normal. And what that means is if the laws change, my mind has to change. If family structures change, my mind has to change. And if I don't do that, then I will not be set free. Prison, I will not be recognized as prosocial nor a human being. Sean?
You pretty much wrapped it all up in one, because I thought, being in the gang and having all the friends and, I'm a social butter. I like socializing and having fun with people. And so when I found out that it was something totally opposite, I was bucking. The definition. I was like, man, that's crazy. That don't even make no sense, right? That stuff is stupid. So I really wasn't trying to change at the time when people was trying to tell me what antisocial behavior is, so I was like, that don't even make sense. It says antisocial. So as I started learning what it was, I definitely started changing my attitude towards it, because I didn't want to be antisocial. I wanted to be prosocial.
What helped you overcome that diagnosis and eventually be found suitable for parole?
Well, for me, I just started looking within myself. I wanted better. If I want better and I wanted to grow, then I had to accept what I felt was crazy. But when I started looking at it, I started seeing other people, and it got broke down. The definition was given to me and explained to me a lot better. Seeing my clinician and talking to my clinician, she helped a lot. I really want to thank her for that, as Daryl was saying. That encouraged me to want to really change my behavior, because I was changing to a better person anyways. It had really nothing to do with the board. It had everything to do with me. I just wanted to be a better human being. And so in order for me to better be a human being, then I needed to change me. And then in order for me to help other people, I definitely really needed to change me and learn about it and learn what the definition is, and then live that life, which is prosocial.
Daryl, do the groups that you started participating in help overcome that diagnosis?
Absolutely. However, before we understood what the diagnosis was and what antisocial personality meant, we did not know that the groups were helping us adjust. We didn't know that the groups were giving us ideas and concepts to help us to become better people. For instance, we come from a world where most people that's in prison, you are alone. Your family's not there to help you. Your loved ones are not there to help you. So you try to do everything on your own. That's antisocial. Prosocial means reaching out and asking someone to help you. Prosocial is trying to find people who are smiling and trying to do the good things in prison, and then trying to align yourself with them so that you can become like that. So initially in the groups, we did not know that it was helping us, but once our eyes were waking up, and we understood what antisocial personality was, then the groups became very pivotal for us, because now we have ideas, now we have a platform, now we have a structured environment that will help us become better people.
Sean, anything you wanted to add on top of that?
I agree. I agree with Daryl was saying, because once we really started understanding and we was in the groups, to me, I was really able to enhance my facilitating skill and information to give to the other guys that was in there. Once I really learned what that meant, that changed my whole dynamic of things. I felt like I really became powerful when I learned what anti and prosocial skill is. I really did. I felt like it empowered me, because then I was able to really just dig in deep and get into it, and then break it down for the other guys and for myself.
Elizabeth, before we go on a little further, Sean and I we worked at the same place. So on Saturdays, we would separate ourselves from everybody. We would talk, we would make food, and we used to talk about the things that we thought were preventing us from getting out of prison. And we went back to why we joined the gang. Why did we participate in drug sales when we were out? We talked about why we thought we needed to fit in with people who were not good for us, or people who we realized were not good for us, or why we wanted to be liked and loved by all the wrong people. This is all antisocial personality in its finest. So we had to like go way back into the old self, to our childhood, and understand so we could redefine who we were as an individual. You know, why we showed no regard for the law, or why we didn't like people who didn't like us. You know, people who didn't even know us. You know, I would walk down, we would walk by a person who didn't even know us, and we'll look him up and down thinking that he didn't like us for no reason at all. This is all antisocial personality. Because in society, you just mind your own business, you go to and from, and you don't worry about nobody, not worried about you. So there was a lot of training, and a lot of people that are still in prison. If this is not addressed, they will not become better people and get out. But once it's addressed, it's easy. And I want to say this again. Once it's addressed, it's easy. It wasn't until I was in 25 years that I learned you really have to become a different person if you want to go into a different world. Because we adjust so well in prison, but outside is entirely different, which we're learning right now. So I thought just do the time, I'm good. But that was not sufficient. And I want everybody to know, any family members who has anyone that's incarcerated, to know, tell your child, your family member, whether it's your son, brother, uncle, daughter, or whatever, you have to participate in the groups. You have to embody the information, and you have to become a better person so society will accept you.
In particular, the commissioners.
They've heard every story. They've read every relapse prevention plan. They've read every document that we present. They know when it's fabricated. They know when you just copy somebody else's stuff. You really have to embody these tools. You have to become this information to become a better person if you want a better life. Sean?
I thought when I came to prison that only thing that I needed to do was just to do my time. As Daryl was saying, you know, to get out of prison, I had to go through these, you know, I had to go to the groups. I had to learn my way of thinking, change my way of thinking. I thought there wasn't nothing wrong with me. I knew that being in the gang, that was something wrong. I mean, because we know what's right from what's wrong, right? And so I figured that, okay, I'm out of the gang. I was still drinking and smoking marijuana. So I figured, hey, I can do that, but still change. I'm not a gang member no more. I'm not getting in trouble for any of that. But I realized that that wasn't the case. We needed to go to the groups because we needed to change our whole way of thinking. Like my whole process of how I thought things should go was completely off. It wasn't the norm. It wasn't how society thought, because that's how it was taught in the streets. Learning what prosocial and antisocial behavior was, like I said, it empowered me and lifted me up to a whole new level. So when I was going to the groups and learning these different things, it allowed me to become a better person in every area of my life. And Daryl pretty much covered everything. Like, not trying to piggyback off of him, but we pretty much a lot the same. You know, we discussed everything. And as you can see, that God blessed us to come home around the same time, because we did our work together, right? We got a 5-year denial around the same time. Then we came back in 2 years. The only ones that we know of that was at SADF Corcoran or any other place that came back in 2 years. Within 6 months, we were back in there. And then come home within 5 days of each other. And that's because we sat in there and we learned our prosocial and antisocial behavior was. And we realized that, hey, I got to get in there. I got to change my ways. I got to change my way of thinking. I have to do everything different. And so it was kind of hard for both of us. It's just we had to change everything. It wasn't just something. We had to change everything. And so changing everything, you know, it was a struggle for me. And I'm quite sure the same for Daryl. It was a struggle because there was some things I just didn't want to let go. Right? Some things I just wanted to hold on to because I felt like it was my protection. I felt like it's what got me here, but they were unhealthy. The groups helped me out, realizing that I needed to change to get out was a big difference. And so that really pushes me. But really, I have to say for me and Daryl, it wasn't that we changed and all this to get out. Yes, it was part of it, but we changed because we became men of God and we just wanted to be a better human being in life. It was the empathy that we had. Like we owed that to our victims. Like we didn't have a choice to stay the same people that we were, right? We had to change. And so that's true empathy. That's true remorse, right? It's when you change and you give that back to your victims. We're changed people and now we're out, and then we're about to change the world.
Let's wrap it up here with this final question. And I think this is a bigger topic, just in terms of the groups. What would you tell other candidates for parole, other inmates, who are resistant to participating in groups in order to earn their freedom. How about you, Daryl?
First of all, and again, I'm really, really big on identifying the thought process and the behavior that got me into prison, first and foremost. Secondly, and in that, you learn your character defects. You have to learn what the causative factors of your crime are, and you have to be honest. You have to stop looking at the things that we did as normal, because it wasn't normal. Anything that leaves you in prison is not normal, and it should not be accepted by you or anybody in society. And then you have to come up with a program plan that you can put before you to say, this is why I will not do these things again. And if at any reason this situation occurs, I have 5 ways to deal with it, and it won't lead to violence or anything you'll be ashamed of. So you have to come up with a relapse prevention plan. You got to know your triggers. You got to know your warning signs. You have to know who you are, character defects, causative factors, and you have to be honest. Because for many years, I went to the board and I would not talk about my crime. And I was a gang member. But I thought if I talked about the crime, I'd be telling on myself all over again. The crime is done. The family has forgiven me. My family's forgiven me. Society's waiting. I was stopping me from getting out of prison. And if you're still in prison past your earliest possible release date, it's your fault and not the board's. I want them to know that.
I agree. You definitely, one of the things, if you want to get out of prison, there's several things that you need to do. And the first thing is that you need to change your way of thinking, right? Not only do you need to change your way of thinking, you need to change the people that you hang around. And so that's very important, because the people that you hang around, they're the same old friends that's getting into everything. You're going to continue to adapt their way of thinking, right? But at the same time, you're going to be trying to adapt this new way of thinking, and it's not going to work. You're going to be mixed up, confused, and it's going to blend in together. And so when you're talking to the board, it's going to blend. That both languages and both sides is going to blend in, and they're going to see right through you, right? And so you need to change the people that you hang around and be around people who are speaking the same language that you speak. It's the same way that I was in the gang lifestyle and I was doing with everything. I gave all 100% into that. And so if you're trying to change your life and go home and do whatever you're going to do, you have to give the same energy that you did to that gang lifestyle, whatever lifestyle that you was living, into this new lifestyle. And you have to stay focused. But I want to say, change your way of thinking, change the people you hang around, right? And just focus on the goals. Do what's important to you. Make healthy decisions. That's what you have to do if you want to come home.
I think it's fantastic advice. And so let's wrap it up here. It's your first holiday weekend, another first for you guys. So I want to leave you with that. We'll meet again next week and have some other great topics. Daryl and Sean helped to shed light on what antisocial personality is, but perhaps more importantly, a person serving a life sentence just can't expect to do his or her time and get out without putting in the effort to overcome the diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. And as we heard, it's totally possible to achieve with some effort, kind of like life in general. This is your host, attorney Elizabeth Camo, signing off for the week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.